Hello, I'm George Ludington, and welcome to another segment of Round Talbot with George. We're glad to have you with us today. I want to start with Ken Courts, local resident, he and his wife both. Many of you see them walking around the streets here, and they're totally involved in community activities. Ken, who has an exceptional background, which we're going to get into in a few minutes, he's put together a piece that's going to be available. Is the public invited to this, Ken?
Yes.
They are, okay.
And I like more the better.
The more the better.
It's like embers in the fireplace.
All
They
right.
spark, I spark.
Okay. Well, Ken's put together this program, and it's going to be at the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship on that hall there, and it's going to be the August 27th at 7 p.m. Now, Ken,
And it's important,
Now,
the
these
street
are-
7901 Ocean Goatway.
this is the poster you'll see around town, and this
Yes.
is going to be depicting it. Is this you?
Yes, in 1966 in Suva, in Fiji, sailing with
This is
a
young
local
Ken.
crew, Velawa.
And he's got some great stories. This is worth seeing. Around the World in 80 Slides is the name of his program. And Ken and I have been talking here for a long time now, and I'm learning more and more. And I'm telling you, he's got, besides this, he's got an excellent time he spent with the civilian with the armed forces, the Navy, the things he worked on. So he's got quite a career, a lot of good stories. And they're all true. That's what makes it fascinating. Okay, Ken, I'm ready. Welcome to this with us, to the show. And I wish I got to you early about all this. This is really fascinating. All right, so Round the World in 80 Slides. What's it about?
Well, it's about my cruise, 1965 to 68.
65, 68.
65 to 68, that's 50 years ago, from Hawaii to the Chesapeake, to Anne Arundel County, via the Red Sea, and if you don't know what that means, and the Mediterranean.
Yeah.
It was 4 years and 28,000 miles.
4 years,
Yes,
28,000 miles.
yes.
And what kind of boat?
It was a 28-foot 10 ketch, built in New Zealand of kauri wood, which is an exceptional
Yeah.
boat building wood. I bought her for $5,000 in Auckland. At that time, they were going for $7,500, but the owner had just got back from Tahiti and didn't know the change. So she was 2,000 pounds, which is $5,000 for a variety of reasons. I put my money down on her of a night. I had gone down, I missed my ferry, went down to the overseas wharf, and saw a trimaran I knew from Tahiti. What are you doing? We're going back to work. What am I doing? I'm looking for a boat. We're for sale. I know 2 hulls too many. What I want is like that little ketch there. It was Mamari by 12. I had, she was mine.
I mean, just so people know, in case you're not sailors or nautical, which is hard to believe in this town, a ketch is a 2-masted boat. It has 2 major sails going all the time. And that's what he's talking about. And how long were they?
28-foot 10, which is fairly small.
It is small. That's,
But she was short-handed. On the water, she was 26-foot 3, which is about a 34 to 35-foot boat in a hull form.
okay. It sounds like it was a great boat.
Yes,
As I was telling you, I built a 25-foot single mast.
yeah.
And what you're talking about is extreme. You've been all over the world and around the world.
Mhm. And if you've not been those places, I can lie a little bit. But she was built by an amateur, a lawyer, a guy who just got out of college. He had $500 in a kauri log. And with that, he built the boat and sailed her away to Australia, up to Tahiti. Jim Oliphant was his name. His daughter got in touch with me 10 years ago now to see if she could buy Mamari back. I said, unfortunately, I sent her Mamari's obituary. She had been riddled with worm in Tarpon Springs and sank. So I was then offered her. A guy called me, the owner, from Florida, and said, did he know anybody in Maryland who wanted Mamari? She had one worm at the waterline. I go back and said to Maggie, oh, my wife, it's terrible. Mamari is in bad shape. She has worm, and I've been offered her if I can find somebody in Maryland who wants her. I don't know anybody who does. Maggie pointed at me and said, you know who does, you do. So I made arrangements to go down to Florida, pick her up, bring her up with a hauler out of Rock Hall who could handle eggshells. Got there, went to look at the boat, went down below, and there were little geysers all over. She was like a colander. And so I called the trip off, called the sail off, and she got sawn up and was gone. Ignominious end.
Jeez. Sounds like a beautiful boat. Too bad it got away from them.
Yes.
The ones I've owned have been fiberglass, wood.
Well, except for wood.
Wood boats are beautiful and great, the way I see them
Yeah.
anyway. But it's just, but it's going to be a love affair. You're going to have to love that boat so much that you're with it all the time. So if you see worms or you see this rotting, you can redo it and scrape it and paint it.
She was 15 years old when I got back, almost 15. Her hull looked like she was fiberglass, nary a seam. Her planks were all full length, which is unusual.
Yeah.
There were no butt plank blocks where you join two planks together.
Well, let's go back to the around the world.
Yeah.
What can the audience anticipate happening here? What's the story?
Well, as I say, I'm going to lie. There's going to be a few yarns.
He's not going to lie. No. He might have sailor stories, but I don't think it'll be lies.
But they're going to see a trip down through the islands, a guy getting off in Tahiti, a bunch of pictures of New Zealand, and then across the Indian Ocean, well, up through Australia, Barrier Reef, the islands of the Melanesian Islands, Fiji, New Caledonia, then across the Indian Ocean, 20 days to Atoll Cocos Keeling, where I had my 28th birthday, then another 20 days to the Seychelles, which are islands off the coast of Africa. British owned, mainly black residents. Wonderful people. The islands were like Tahiti was in 1900. They had Tahiti, meaning there was free love, which from there we'll take you up to the coast of Somalia. There were no pirates then. And then to Aden, where the Yemeni terrorists were attacking the Brits. Nothing changes. Then my crew got off, found a different crew, up the Red Sea, Gulf of Suez, and then the Mediterranean, the Caribbean, across the Atlantic, Caribbean, home.
And how many people were on board when you did this?
Usually there were two of us.
Two of you.
Sometimes three, as in the crossing the Atlantic. Twice I single-handed, once from Tonga to Fiji, 5.5 days, because I couldn't find a crew. And once from essentially the Gulf of Suez up the Suez Canal and across to Rhodes, another 5.5 days from Said to Rhodes.
This is a great adventure. It's going to be, you got to see this. I'm going to be there. August 27th, 7 p.m. Ken's Courts voyage from Hawaii to the Chesapeake Bay, around the world in 80 slides. You don't want to miss it. Ken's got other stories too, and I'm sure you'll be telling them there.
Right.
And it's a fascinating life this man has had, and this young man. And
76 years old. I was 26 when this all began.
Well, what a trip. Oh, I'm going to be there to see it. Ken, thanks for coming in and setting this up for us.
Thanks for
Anybody has any questions, you can call here at the Avalon Theater and find out about it, and they'll give you the other information on when and where. But it will be the 27th of August, and thank you for watching.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I want to sit down and have a few beers with you.
Easton Hardware proudly supports the Avalon Foundation and MCTV. Easton Hardware has been bringing you fast, personal, courteous customer service for all your hardware and flooring needs for over 70 years.
Hi, and welcome back to Around Talbot with George. I am George Ludington, your host, and today, right for this segment, we have some interesting people here with us. First is Larry Denton, and he is the president of the Talbot Historic Society. And we got some really interesting information going on, an interview here if you've never been to it or have never had any dealings with the society. They're redoing things completely. And also with him is Miss Dee Dee Wood, and she is the manager of the antique shop. That's what I call it. And it's right here in Easton, and it's a fantastic place to walk through. And it's interesting. My wife and I have been there several times, and I was just saying something to Dee Dee. I said that we never leave without buying something. My wife just loves it. And my wife used to be in the antique business, and that's why she married me. And the things they have there, the display, it just draws you in. Okay, so Larry, it's a pleasure to have you here.
Glad to be here.
It's nice to meet you. And you've been busy over the past year and a half.
We have been very busy.
Okay, tell us what's going on.
Well, about 3 years ago, Carla Howe was the president of the society. I was vice president. And we decided to hold a strategic planning meeting. It was an all-day meeting with our board. We had outside consultants, museum people. And out of that session came really a three-pronged effort. One is we decided to move the antique shop from the Mary Jenkins house. It was in an old two-story place into the building where it is now that housed our old museum. Jean McHale, a board member, was the visionary. She said it was the perfect retail spot. We had windows on South Washington Street. We increased the size of the shop by 50%. It was all on one floor. It just made lots of sense to do that. The second prong was we decided to create a new museum in the Mary Jenkins house where we had moved the antique shop from. The third prong was to take the Neal House, the huge house that sits on the corner of South Washington and Glenwood, and turn that into galleries where we could display really some very world-class artifacts. Once we moved the antique shop, business just mushroomed, and within a few months we knew we had to have a full-time shop manager. We did a search. Dee Dee Wood popped to the top of the list, and we hired her. She's been on board since November, and it's just done a terrific job.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Okay, the new building, or the remake of that's one building, the one down that we were in yesterday.
Yeah, the Mary Jenkins house is, we think it is the oldest frame house in Easton. We have a separate endowment to maintain that house, and we decided to refurbish it completely on the inside and on the outside. We spent a six-digit figure doing that, and then once that renovation was complete, we went about building our new museum that will open in a couple of weeks.
Fantastic. You're going to love this new museum. They gave us a run through yesterday, and you're going to be, I'm sure right about now, they should be feeding the videos from yesterday's show.
Welcome to the new museum of the Talbot Historical Society. I'm Larry Denton, the president of the society. I'd like to introduce Kathy Hill, a board member who has been very instrumental in mining the photo collection.
It is a fantastic place, and you just, the history of this area is well documented there.
But see, you know, people here will come and see their grandfathers.
And I could have stayed, I'd still be in there watching. It's just fantastic. You've done an excellent job.
Thank you.
That building and the other buildings. You have one building left.
We are starting this month in a renovation of the Neal House. We will put in museum quality lighting in the 5 rooms that we're going to convert to galleries, and we will open that in early October.
You are a busy man.
It's been fun.
Jeez. Well, that's great. That is really great. Now, Miss Wood, Dee Dee, we know each other now. But tell us about your shop.
Welcome to the new Tharp. I'd like to introduce Dee Dee Wood, who's the Tharp manager, and I'd like to introduce Priscilla Toot, who is the board liaison to Tharp. Priscilla is a member of our executive committee and very active in this organization.
Well, we have a unique situation with Tharp Antiques. When you consign things in our store, since we're a 501c3 nonprofit, when you consign things in our store, you can also write off the 50-50 split on your taxes. We're the only entity in Easton that you can do that. So that's popular to some people because you're not only are you aiding in the nonprofit and supporting historical and educational programs for Talbot Historical Society, but you're also getting something back on your taxes because you deal with a nonprofit. So that's something unusual that some people don't know that we would like to share with others. We also do something that I brought to the table when I started. We do a programming once a month with a next door in the Neal House with historic lectures, antique oriented, and that draws a big crowd. It also teaches people the history of antiques, gets people down to look through the store and through the campus. So that's something I'm really proud of that we've started in conjunction with the uniqueness of having a store attached to a historical society.
Yes.
We're able to bring educational programs as well through the store to the society. So it's something we're really proud of.
That's fantastic. Now, there's you there, and you have a lot of volunteers.
We do. We have a team of volunteers who
How
work
many-
very hard.
How many people work with you?
Usually around 25 to 30 is our base, and they volunteer anywhere from 1 to 2 days a month.
Okay, if they have any someone, a viewer has any questions or anything, or maybe wants to come volunteer, who do they contact?
They would contact us at the store.
What's the number?
The number is 410-820-7525.
410-820-7525.
7525.
Great. And so if you have any questions or anything, call Dee Dee. If you'd like to get involved and work in the antique store, call Dee Dee. You. Larry, if people have questions or anything for you, who would they contact? How do they reach you?
They can email us at director@hstc.org, or they can call the main number 410-822-0773.
0773. 410-822-0773. And that's for Larry. It's fantastic having you here. Is there anything else you'd like to bring in? I know there's a lot to talk about.
Well, I would make a comment on what we've done in the new museum. We have a world-class photo collection, the H. Robbins Holiday Collection, and we have mined nearly 1,000 photos from that collection to tell the story of the history of Talbot County.
That's what we were seeing yesterday.
That's what you were seeing yesterday, yeah. And we've tried to tell the history by looking at rich and poor, old and young, blacks and whites, everyone who participated in building this county. And we hope by telling the story that way that it will help bring the county together, bring the community
Better
together.
understanding of just how this all happened.
How it all happened, yes, sir.
Wow. It's fascinating. You got to go see this. It's fascinating. Does it cost anything to go see these things?
We decided to have it free. It's
Free.
open to the public, and simply come by and see us. We are going to be open Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Starting what date?
starting sometime in mid-August.
Mid-August. It's a few weeks away. You gotta go see it. You gotta find the time. It's worth it, really worth it. Any last words from you, Dee Dee?
Tuesdays are consignment days, they're from 11 to 3. If you'd like to bring things in, we're certainly.
Any Tuesday, 11 to 3, bring your things, and you'll walk out with more.
That's right.
That's how it works. No, it's beautiful in there. You've got to take a look. It is just really good. Buy it up. Lost my wife from buying it. And I'm teasing. I'm just teasing. Okay. Well, thank you both so much.
Thank you.
I really appreciate you taking the time to do this and all the time you spent with us yesterday. You really opened the door for us, and we're believers. This is fascinating.
Thank you very
What
much.
you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you so
And
much.
enter your board.
Yeah. We have a great board.
Yeah, you do, and they're all
Yeah.
volunteers, and it's
Yeah.
just, and gave a lot of money to make this all happen. They had a vision, and they've done it. You've done it. Yeah, you've all really put it together. Thanks again.
Thank you.
All right. See you next time on Around Talbot with George. Thanks for watching.
Easton Hardware proudly supports the Avalon Foundation and MCTV. Easton Hardware has been bringing you fast, personal, courteous customer service for all your hardware and flooring needs for over 70 years.